So question one says, it says, what is the simplified form of the following difference? All right, so at 7 root 32 minus 3 root 2. All right, so basically what we want to do is, if we're going to simplify this, we need to have a common radical. So I'm going to simplify the square root of 32. All right, so let's rewrite this. So we definitely have 7. Instead of having the square root of 32, I'm going to break this down by using 16 times 2, because that is 32 and 16 is a square number. So I have 16 times 2 right there. So we have the root of 16 times 2 minus 3 root 2. Use this was that this 2 and this 2 will somehow be my rescue in the end. Let us split this. So this is 7 square root 16 times the square root of 2 minus 3 square root of 2. Whenever we have radicals, we're able to split them like this. So at this moment, what we really have is 7 times 4, and then we'll have the root of 2. Remember, the square root of 16 is 4, then minus 3 root 2. 28 root of 2 minus 3 root of 2. And then finally, we're looking at 25 square root 2. All right, let's take a look on this question here. So it says 95% of Bikey National Park in Homestead, Florida is underwater. The rectangle below represents the total area of the park. It says, which best describes the total area of the park? All right, so basically this is a rectangular shape, and we know the area of a rectangle is equal to the length times its width. So basically we're going to put together this, we're going to multiply the length times the width. So I'm going to have by 10 root 3, and I'm going to multiply that by 2 the root of 12 plus 5 the root of 3. So I'm going to put together that idea. Now, basically, again, we're going to distribute this 10 root 3 inside the parentheses there. So what are we looking at? We're really looking at 10 root 3 times 2 root 12 plus 10 the root of 3 times 5 the root of 3. So basically that's what we have. Let's put things together. Remember that these numbers here will multiply by themselves. So we're going to have 20, 10 to is 20. Under my square root sign, I'm going to have 3 times 12. And then for this part here, we're dealing with 50. And then under my square root, I'll have 3 times 3. So let's take another step. We're looking at 20 times the root of 36 plus 50 times the square root of 9. Now, 20 is okay. The root of 36 is 6, so I'm going to put a 6 there, plus 50, and the root of 9 is 3. So 20 times 6, that's going to give us 120, plus 50 times 3 is 150. Finally, this is 270. So I'm looking for that for my answer. So my answer is H. So let's go to the next question. All right, so the third question here, it says, one selected 3 index cards with different radical expressions. So we have the radical 180, we have 2 radical 20, and -3 radical 45. What is the sum of these 3 terms in simplified form? So basically, I want to make sure that I'm able to get a common radical, right? So I'm going to break these down, right? And I'm thinking 5 would work. So we have to know square numbers and so on. So 5 will be a common factor that will help us out with the square. So my first square, the square root of 80, I'm going to split that into 36 times 5, right? So 36 is my square number times 5. That's 180 plus 2, and I'm going to split this into 4 times 5. So you could see that 5 is going to help me out as a radical here, right? So plus -3 under my radical, I have 9 times 5. So I'm able to find a square number that multiply by 5 to give us my radicand. So let us split these up. So basically, what we really have here is square root 36 times square root 5 plus 2 times square root 4 times root 5. I'm going to put the minus now. Plus and a minus is finally a minus. The square root of 9 times 5. So basically, 6 is 36. So we could say, well, our square root of 36 there is 6 root 5. And for this part right here, the square root of 4 is 2. But I definitely had a 2 before. So 2 2's will give me now a 4. And then this is root 5. And lastly, -3 times the square root of 9, which is 3. 3 3's give us about 9. And then we have the root of 5. So let's put it together. 6 root 5 plus 4 root 5 will give me 10 square root 5 minus 9 square root 5. Basically, I'm left with 1 root 5. And you know, 1 root 5 is just root 5. So my answer would be B. The basic idea is whenever we're going to simplify our radicals, make sure that we could find a square number that is a factor. And not only that, when we have a number of them to be simplified like this, I'm going to make sure I'm finding that common radical that will not be able to be broken down like a square root of 5 here that is common for all. All right, let us take a look at number 4. What is the simplified form of the following sum? All right, so we want to find the simplified form here. So let me rewrite this here. So we have 5 root 28 plus the square root of 63. Okay, the 5 is okay. I'm going to split my root 28 into 4 times 7. Also, I'm going to split my square root of 63 into 9 times 7. So basically, my square number in the first one is a 4, and my square number in the last part is 9. Let us take another step. So this is the square root of 4 times the square root of 7 plus square root of 9 times the square root of 7. Let us look at our square numbers. The square root of 4 in the front here is 2. And 2 times 5, that's 10. So I have 10 square root 7. The square root of 9 at the back is 3. And then we have the root of 7. Because we have 10 square root 7 plus 3 square root 7, finally, this becomes 13 square root 7. And my answer is F. Let's take a look at another. What is the area of the square in simplified form? All right, so this is deemed as square. So basically, we're going to multiply the length times the length. So in this case, we're multiplying 4 minus 3 square root 5 times 4 minus 3 square root 5. So basically, we could do this a number of ways. I'm going to quickly apply just an idea for distribution. So I'm going to take everything from this first parenthesis and let it be multiplied by everything from the second parenthesis. So my basic way of doing this is to say 4 will be used to multiply by 4 minus 3 square root 5. Then minus 3 square root 5 will be used to multiply by 4 minus 3 square root 5. What I'm going to do here is just to distribute. For example, I'm going to distribute the 4 in this parentheses. Then I'm going to distribute the minus 3 square root 5 in the other parentheses. So 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times negative 3 root of 5 will give me negative 12, the root of 5. I'm over here now. Negative 3 root 5 times 4 will give me negative 12, the square root of 5. And then negative 3 square root 5 times negative 3 square root 5 will give me positive 9. Okay? Positive 9 times 5. Why? Because remember, when the square root of 5 multiplied by the square root of 5, we got 5, right? So that's what we have around there. Let's finally put everything together. Remember that this is actually 45, okay? So I'm going to write 45 there now. That's we see what happened. So this is actually 45 here. Basically, I could quickly group my like terms. So 16 can be grouped with the 45. And I could group these two terms here together. So let us put together that 16 and 45. That's going to give me 61. And then this will be negative 24 square root of 5. I'm looking for that. So my answer is D. All right, let's take a look at the last problem. My last problem here. So it says Moses drew a rectangle having a length that was 2 inches longer than its width. What is the ratio of the width to the length in simplified form? In simple form, if the width of the rectangle is 3 root 3 inches. So basically, the width is actually the square root of 3. The length was actually said to be 2 inches more. So we could say 2 plus the square root of 3. Now, they want us to find the ratio of the width to the length. So I'm going to write this as a fraction, and I'm going to put the width at the top. So I'm going to have the square root of 3 all over 2 plus the square root of 3. Now, there's no answer to match that. Also, we're seeing a radical out of a denominator. What this means is that I'm going to have to rationalize by the conjugate. The conjugate is that I'm going to multiply the numerator and the denominator by the same things, except I'm going to change the plus to a minus. So instead of having 2 plus square root of 3, I'm going to have 2 minus the square root of 3 to multiply by my numerator, and the same thing, 2 minus the square root of 3 to multiply by my denominator. Let's take a look at my numerator. So at my numerator, what I have is actually the square root of 3 times this. But remember that this is like, that is actually a binomial. So I'm going to have 2 square root 3 minus square root 3 times square root 3. That's what I have at the top. Now, at the bottom, let us just see what we have at the bottom. Now, I'm having 2 plus the square root of 3 times 2 minus the square root of 3. So I'm going to simplify my top version, right? So if I simplify my top version, what I'm really going to have is 2 the square root of 3 minus 3. Remember again, square root of 3 times the square root of 3 is 3. So that is at the top. So already I'm seeing that this is my answer. But at the bottom, I'm seeing the difference of 2 square being factorized. And in the difference of 2 square, we don't have middle terms. So it means that, because this is what is telling me that it's the difference of 2 square, I'm seeing 2 plus the square root of 3 into 2 minus the square root of 3. So that's the difference of 2 squared being factorized. So I could just work on my outer terms. For example, 2 times 2 gives me 4 here. And root 3 times negative root 3 will give me minus 3. So my final response is 2 square root 3 minus 3 over 1, which is the same thing as 2 square root 3 minus 3. So already I said the answer was H. See you next time. Daily Maths Concepts.